Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stream here, and if you tune into this video today, I got another matchup ready for you. So you already know the drill. Let's just dive on in it. So what cool two characters are we gonna match up today? If you're wondering that, I have the answer for you right here. Today, we're gonna be matching up Yoshimitsu versus Genji.
Yoshimitsu! Kamikaze! The dragon becomes me!
Alrighty, so let me just start off by saying that this is a very interesting matchup once again between these two characters of Yoshimitsu and Genji. And that's mostly because of the special abilities and unique traits of both these characters individually from their own respective universes. Now, I'm not a real big expert on Overwatch, but Genji is my favorite character on there, and I've invested myself in that character, so I do know enough about him. So, just jumping into some information on him. He's a very unique character on the game. He has like that dragon-like aura that flows through him, and he's able to even amp up some of his abilities for, self-defense, like deflecting things that is projected at him, and also like boosting up his speed, more. And he's already athletic enough where he's able to climb on walls and do things like that. He has the 3-star shurikens that he can also use at long range, so, and it's pretty much unlimited with the stars. So he doesn't run out of those, and that sword that he has is killer. So in this matchup, I do think that he would be able to give Yoshimitsu a fight. However, I don't think that he would win this matchup. Mainly because I just feel like he's outclassed by a character like Yoshimitsu, and here's why. So first off, if you don't know who Yoshimitsu is, he's one of the original characters of Tekken. He first debuted in the first Tekken video game in 1994, and they've also crossed him over in the other video game series of Soul Calibur, which was said that was one of his ancestors from, many years before the Tekken version of Yoshimitsu. Now, Yoshimitsu has always been the leader of the Dura anti-Manji clan. Now, that's very important to factor in because it ties into the history of the character of Yoshimitsu. He has the sword that he wields is ironically and in a very funny way named after him, Yoshimitsu. It's almost like they was like, okay, what do we call this sword that he wields, the special sword that he wields that possesses the spirits of all his ancestors? Hey, I got the name, Yoshimitsu. So it's very funny and interesting. So, but that's very important to factor in though, because of the knowledge and experience that he has, even, controlling and wielding his ancestors' souls in that sword, which is a big game factor. And Yoshimitsu has the ability to meditate and heal himself. He turns his back on his opponents. He's able to sit down and meditate and heal himself. Now that's very important because, sneak attack on him doesn't work. He doesn't have a blind spot pretty much. He, senses everything coming around him. He's just that type of character for sure. So that's very important to factor in. Not necessarily saying that he can't be hit like that. I'm just saying that it's not easy to do because this guy can freaking sit on his sword and hop around and still fight while he's hopping around on his sword. He can literally fight while he's hopping around his sword with his feet pressed together on the sword, still scrapping with people out there. That's very important to factor in. So he's very athletic, agile, and charismatic himself. He almost reminds me of the Joker, just not as insane, but he's goofy like him, and he has the charisma of a character like the Joker for sure. And, who doesn't like Yoshimitsu? So, but, that doesn't necessarily mean that Genji doesn't have a chance of beating him. And it's not like Genji is weak. He's not weak or anything like that. It's just, in a matchup against Yoshimitsu, he's just outclassed. Not necessarily outpowered, but outclassed. And, factoring in what I said earlier, he Yoshimitsu having the ability to heal himself, he can also siphon energy from his opponents, which picture him, being even injured by Genji. Now picture Genji making a mistake and, you know, Yoshimitsu siphons the dragon aura that Genji has flowing through him. That'll give Yoshimitsu a big power boost, and that's going to make him that much more powerful because, even with all the abilities that he can use his power to even amp it up even more, so that's very important to factor in. And also, Yoshimitsu has a form of ninjutsu originated from Kenjutsu. Now, it's very funny and ironic, too, to factor that in because if you think about it, when you think of ninjutsu, if you're an anime fan, you think of Naruto characters and the characters on Naruto that can actually use ninjutsu. Because there's some characters on there like Rock Lee and things like that don't use ninjutsu because they can't use it. But, that's just funny because, it's like, wow, like, is there anything that this guy can't do, pretty much? And, well, he can't control time, so that's one thing, right? Yeah. But, yeah, so it's just a funny thing because I could picture a fight between these two characters and Yoshimitsu just doing something that's so funny or so out of place, and or just one of his like character lines that just be so outrageous that the fans would be more invested on Yoshimitsu's side because that's just what kind of character they've created Yoshimitsu to be. He's just that type of character. He's definitely one of my favorite characters, period, of all time on any platform. Not necessarily my favorite, but he's one of them. And once again, that does not necessarily mean that Genji would get stomped in this matchup because I do think that it'll be a tough fight for Yoshimitsu just because of the ability of Genji to enhance his special abilities for even a short period of time. Sometimes a short period of time is just enough time for some people. But he's definitely outclassed by a character like Yoshimitsu. And, even but by me mentioning that Genji is very like athletic and agile, able to climb, buildings and things like that. Yoshimitsu can do the same thing because Yoshimitsu has had a rivalry in the Soul Calibur series with and although that's not the same Yoshimitsu as the Tekken Yoshimitsu because it's the Soul Calibur version is technically an older version of him, which is obviously one of the ancestors. He's still experienced and he still actually inherited those abilities too. Yoshimitsu was able to outrun somebody like Lady Natsu from the Soul Calibur series, jumping off of walls and buildings and things like that. So with those flips and things, Yoshimitsu is just as dangerous. Yoshimitsu also has those powerful kicks too that he's able to kick an opponent and knock him off the stage, the cliff on the stages, in the background stages on the Soul Calibur series and all. I used to hate that, where you used to get kicked and knocked off the stage and all that on the all the maps boards and things like that. They used to irritate me so much. But yeah, so those kicks are very powerful to factor in too. And so even again, Genji as a character does have a lot of potential in the future. Any like future developments they decide to put him in, it would be like very interesting to see him on like a Street Fighter or some type of like Tekken or Soul Calibur. I wish they would bring Soul Calibur back. I don't know why they stopped making those, but it's just very important to factor in that Yoshimitsu just outclasses him in just about every category, pretty much, because with the ninjutsu, teleportation powers, just about the same amount of speed and agility and charisma and things like that. And even though Yoshimitsu seems like he's not very intelligent, Yoshimitsu is very, very smart. He's a very, very smart tactical fighter on top of being just smart in general. He's very smart. So that's another thing to factor in too. And one thing that would be questionable is he's able to do it, and that's maybe piercing through the armor suit that Genji does wear. But judging from his, multi-platform, experience throughout the games that he's been in, he's been able to fight characters like Nightmare on the Soul Calibur games, and even like some Street Fighter characters. You know, when they do Street Fighter versus Tekken. So that is very important to factor in. So I think that eventually he would, not with just one hit, maybe not even 2 hits or 3 hits, but I think he would be able to do some damage to Genji, even with the armor on. And even though it doesn't look like it, the Soul Calibur version of Yoshimitsu wears armor too, but it's not as thick plated armor as the one from Tekken. But he pretty much wears armor too. It's just a different style, you know, based off the the mythos of his character and stuff like that. So that's very important to factor in as well. So once again, my conclusion is Yoshimitsu takes this fight, not necessarily because he's just very much, that much stronger than Genji, mainly because he just outclasses him in pretty much every category. And I could be wrong, but in this case, I feel like Yoshimitsu takes it. And you guys let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about it and who you think will win and why maybe. And once again, I am King Stream, and always remember that keep streaming.